Accessibility. Today's guest has an extensive background and experience in early childhood learning. She spent nearly 2 decades in early learning education, 15 years as Director of Regional and Early Childhood Education Programming, and the last 4 years as Principal at the Early Learning Center in New Albany School, where she and her staff create opportunities for academic and social growth for New Albany's youngest learners in kindergarten through first grade. It's a real honor and privilege to be joined by Michelle Unger Levero. Right, Michelle?
Yeah, Levero. Yeah.
Welcome, Michelle. Good to see you.
You too. Thank you.
So you are in a bright, shiny room, which is fitting because you are bright and shiny and you got your exercise in today. I know you said that you're a very active woman.
I am. I said that's probably been the biggest challenge with working from home is I'm used to running around a building and being very active and getting in lots of steps. So the sedentary part of online learning and working from home and the collaborative piece is that you don't have that interaction with staff and you're not moving as much. So I try to find ways to get up, move, go outside as much as I can and enjoy the sunshine like today. So that certainly helps with the mood.
Yeah. And I bet for you, I can appreciate you are the hub for so much information and collaboration. You facilitate so many different types of conversations between you to your staff, to education board, to parents, direct to your students, your beautiful kids, boys and girls. How are you filling that void while you're working almost completely digitally?
Yeah, I think that's been probably the biggest challenge is typically if there's something that I need to talk to a staff member about, I can just walk down the hallway and have that personal connection, which I prefer. So we're doing a lot of Google Meets with staff, depending on certain cohorts, depending on what the topic is. Probably the hardest part with families right now is I will see them at arrival and dismissal and throughout the school building, so I can have those personal connections and conversations too. So as a staff, we're just trying to put out lots of videos so the kids and parents can still see us and know that we're still here. I send out a staff update every Sunday, but family updates throughout the month just to keep them informed of things that are happening. And the teachers do a weekly communication. So we're just trying to stay in front of the families and trying to be as interactive through video as we can. So it's not what we prefer, but that's kind of where we are right now.
Yeah. And I know you had expressed to me that the news of the school closing you were really saddened by that. What are the plans to continue education and academic learning for the community?
Well, we're going to continue right now with the online format. We use Schoology at New Albany, so our teachers put out a daily plan for each of the families. If anything, it's probably strengthened our connection with families, and we're able to use it as an opportunity to show them what we do. So we're taking that as a bonus. But it's been certainly challenging. It's going to continue to be challenging because we can't replicate the classroom and there's social interactions that happen from peer to peer. So we're trying to figure out the best ways. Our teachers do Google Meets throughout the week with families and students. We just recently put out a parent survey to try to get some feedback on ways that we can improve. So we're always looking at opportunities to improve, make things better. Sometimes that's whole building and sometimes that's individual classroom based. At the end of every daily lesson, the families have an opportunity to provide the teacher feedback on that lesson as well. So just teachers trying to look at different ways to continue to improve. But it's been challenging. Last week when Governor DeWine announced that we anticipated it, but it was still really hard to hear. And I think it was still a letdown for all of us because we really want the kids back. And now we're just really looking at how do we improve and get better for the remainder of May, and what potentially will it look like when we come back in the fall.
Yeah. I have an 11-month-old and a 5.5-year-old, so they're not in the K or our first grade programming, but to graduate from kindergarten to first grade, that's a very big emotional achievement. There's a lot of celebration that occurs there, from having like a little person to having them go into primary school. I got to imagine that's tough for parents in particular to not have that traditional celebration from K-1.
Yeah, so about this is our third year. Is actually we're a preschool kindergarten building. So for some kindergartners, we only have them for 1 year. And we do try to really celebrate that year that they're in kindergarten. And we provide a lot of opportunities for them to become familiar with the primary and the way things happen at the primary. And we're not able to do that this year. I was just on a Google Meet with Mrs. Smith, the principal at the primary on Thursday or Friday of last week, and just trying to figure out the best ways that we can provide that information to families. So yeah, the celebration piece, which is one of my favorite parts, even though it's bittersweet because we're not going to potentially see the kids again as they transition to the primary. It really is a year of celebration because so much growth happens in kindergarten and in preschool. So we're trying to plan. I worked with the PTO. Our ELC PTO is incredible. And I'm trying to figure out some different ways to create celebrations, either virtually or as the restrictions lessen, maybe there'll be an opportunity at the end of May. So just continuing to have those conversations because I know how important they are to me. I know how important they are to the families too. So
Yeah, absolutely it is. When my little dude went to daycare, I was emotionally attached to the experience. I wanted to celebrate it. It was very important to me, probably more so to me, an adult nearly 40, than it was to him. Just some feedback. One bit of insight that I found that was really meaningful to Ethan, my 5.5-year-old, was when the teacher stopped by and drew chalk on the driveway.
oh yeah.
He loved that. They wrote, Ethan, we really miss you. Just want to let you know kind of we were thinking about you. Signed the teachers. It was in colors. It was beautiful. And it's really interesting how people are coming up with creative ways to touch and reach out to people without being with them.
Yeah. I think this has been probably an opportunity. I have two sons myself, one in college and one in high school, that if this has brought, I always try to look at the silver lining in things. If anything, I think it's brought probably families closer. I have had probably more conversation the last month with my two boys than I had probably the 3 months prior, just because we are quarantined together. And all of the changes that are happening, trying to understand it and emotionally support each other. So when I go out walking around here, I'm seeing so many families in the front yards and playing together and being able to enjoy each other's time. If there's probably one silver lining that's come out of this, is the reconnection with families. We're all overscheduled, including myself. So I think it's been a time that we've been able to kind of press pause, take a step back and reconnect with our own kids. And I needed that as much as probably anybody else. So.
Yeah, I think it's the modern day and age in which technology has made us hyper connected and constantly filling our schedules. It's very easy to commingle and mix up what it's like to be efficient, working smart versus working hard. I know a lot of people think that, myself included, I get caught up in, if I'm taking an action, I'm working, at least emotionally. That's how it feels. That's how it occurs to me. But this period of time for me has created a lot of anxiety in that I'm caring for young kids and I can't really do my work in the real estate industry as much as I used to. What suggestions might you have for parents who are coping with similar anxieties? Maybe they're just having a hard time like being full-time parents while the kids are home.
Yeah, I am too. Had to help my high school with homework last week, and I haven't been in English Lit or pre-calculus for 30 years. So I think giving yourself a break, understanding the realities, not being so hard on yourself that you have to be everything all of the time. And as I tend to be a type A person, so that's not an easy task for me. But being able to kind of just take a step back and understand the situation that's given, and that the social emotional health is just as important as his academic growth. That my high schooler is struggling with the online piece. He's a social being. He needs that interaction, and also giving him a break and teaching him how to chunk things out. So I think right now it's kind of, we don't have to do everything all of the time. This is our opportunity to give ourselves a break and go easy on yourself. I guess that's my biggest advice is cut yourself some slack and just do the best you can.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's probably easier said than done, in that you being an A-type person probably need a reminder from other people for yourself, especially as management, someone overseeing so many people, tasked with leading the force, so to speak. So I'm going to turn that and remind you, go easy on yourself.
I'll try for sure.
So you had mentioned to me in a prior conversation, there was a vernacular or an acronym. I wasn't sure what it was. ERO, the R factor. What does that mean? Is it an acronym?
Yeah. So the R factor, it comes from the Focus 3 group. Many people that are familiar with Ohio State football remember Urban Meyer's book Above the Line and his work with Tim and Brian Kite, and that is the Focus 3 group. So it's really 6 disciplines that kind of teach you how to respond to situations to get the best outcome that you can. The leadership team went to a training about 3 years ago and were trained up in the R factor. And then we started rolling it out to staff and then students. So at the ELC, we focus on several of the disciplines, but not all 6, just because some of them are a little bit above the kids' heads. So we focus on press pause. So ERO stands for everybody has an event. How you respond determines your outcome. So E, event, response, outcome. So we teach kids how to press pause, take a step back, step up and look at the situation to determine if their response is going to give them the outcome that they want. And what we really focus on at the ELC is this is our opportunity to teach. And so kids don't always, even as adults, we don't always make the best responses. And when they don't, we try to teach them up and talk to them about what was the outcome, and we kind of do it in reverse. What was the outcome you were hoping for? Did that response give it to you? And if not, maybe what could you do differently the next time? And learning to apply those skills in events that happen for the next time. So every event happens. We also, as adults, and one of the focus at the ELC for our staff is that we kind of talk about the 20 square feet. So my 20 square feet impacts your 20 square feet. My response to an event, my response creates an event for you. Your response creates an event for me. Or know you being mindful of that when those situations and your responses happen. So adjusting and adapting is one of the big disciplines. That has been probably the one that has been on hyper focus of late with the situation that we have right now. And is adjusting and adapting has been hard. And are we focused on making sure that we're taking care of ourselves and as well as taking care of others, and adjusting and adapting to the situation so we can be the best and deliver the best instruction to students? And are we focused on the students and our students coming first? And that's a big initiative with the New Albany Plain local schools. And the R Factor actually is a preschool through 12th grade initiative. So what we're teaching at the ELC then goes to the primary and so on and so forth. So we're kind of building those skills up. So when the kids get to the intermediate, middle school, and high school, they've learned those disciplines and can apply them and become just better citizens.
It's awesome.
So yeah.
I love that. The ERO, event, response, outcome. I love that. What I hear in that is it's very simple. It's not easy, but it's a very simple strategy about handling life.
Yeah. And it doesn't change once you're a kid to an adult. I have events I've had multiple events today, and my responses, I have to, are very intentional at times. Yeah, that's right. The event for me is COVID. The response for me is to get out of my comfort level and connect with people. You and I connected on the phone. We were both super excited. Today I'm with you and I've totally lost track of time. I'm so happy to be spending time with you. The outcome is that
the ball is starting to roll. I'm getting momentum. People are starting to engage. They're enjoying these conversations. They're giving me feedback. So that's kind of my ERO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, connecting with people. I mean, I'm a social being. I'm an extrovert, so I'm trying to find different ways to connect as well. Some virtual, time with some of my high school friends, and just picking up the phone and calling friends that I haven't talked to, spoken to in a long time. So those are just different ways too. Just making sure you're taking care of yourself and finding balance. And I think that balance is hard sometimes, but trying to achieve that is always one of my first goals every day. So
yeah, and you have clearly professionally, but not only that, personally, you were kind in sharing that you had your own battle with cancer in the past. What was your ERO strategy looking hindsight? The event was obviously cancer. What was your response?
Yeah, I became very focused on my two boys. One of the things that I asked all the people around me at the time was that whatever was happening with me it had little impact on what they had to do every day, and I needed their help to do it. So if they had basketball practice, they needed to be at basketball practice. If they had school, they needed to be at school. If they had opportunities to go to a birthday party and be with their friends, then that was what the focus was making sure that the boys were not impacted as, the social emotional piece, not knowing what your mom's going through. I was hospitalized often through the battle. So those type of things I couldn't control, but what I could control is where they were and what they needed to be doing to continue to be, they were 11 and 8 at the time, to continue to go on with their life, because that was what was most important. So that was probably my biggest response. And I really tried every day to get up and be positive. I got up every day, took a shower, got ready, and that they could see me that way. And there were times that they would get on the bus or leave for school and I'd be right back in bed, but at least they got up and could see that I was fighting every day. And that was a big part of my response too.
Sure. Yeah, that's incredible. My mom, she had cancer for several years. Hers, she wasn't so fortunate, it took her life, but the silver lining was I got to see how tough, how extraordinary resilient human beings can be. And, with the right mindset, I think these type of very, very difficult things in our lives can create a wonderful opportunity for growth and development.
I agree. And I think for my boys too, it taught them so much. I think they're much more empathetic to other people. So there's always blessings and curses through every situation. So, I mean, while they shouldn't have been through what they went through, even though they did, there were certain things and lessons I think that they learned along the way too, as well as me. Yeah.
Yeah, they must be very well-rounded young men.
At times. They were still teenage boys. So
teenagers, do they still like their parents at teenage years? Or is that?
I always say they like me a lot when I'm feeding them and giving them money. So I'm the best mom in the world when there's food on the table, and I'm Venmo. Venmo is the big thing right now. I Venmo them money when they need it. So
Got it.
That's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Tell me about the world we live in with education and social media and technology. It's a really odd environment where kids can interact in a vacuum without a lot of oversight. And now we're making efforts and strides to reel that in. What is the Safe School Helpline?
The Safe School Helpline is that if anybody, another student, a parent, anybody, a citizen, a New Albany resident, knows of something that they feel like a child's safety is at risk, or an event happened where a child's safety potentially was at risk and that they don't know that child would be willing to speak up, there's an anonymous safe line. So when they make a report on that, it's anonymous, but all of us on the leadership head principals get the notification, and then we're able to go in and determine if it's in our building and then be able to work through it and address it. But that person, when they make that call and make that report, can remain anonymous. And that's what's most important. Yeah.
And are people using it?
Yes, they do. I obviously at the ELC, I don't get very many because most of the situations, the parents will, if there's something that happened on the playground and they want me to look into it, they just reach out to me and I do it that way. But for there's a lot with the middle school and high school that people are able to provide information about a situation anonymously, and the principals are able to look into it and work through the situation without it being, somebody, I guess, snitching. I guess I don't know if they use that terminology anymore. So.
Yeah. What's the best way to get in touch with you? You're very available from what I can see on the website. Your info is all over, but for email, calling you on the phone.
Yeah, email's the best route. A lot of times I can answer questions through an email. I just had a family reach out the other day that's moving into the area and wanted some information about our curriculum. So I was able to provide links and share information about the school. And then I can always set up a Google Meet or a call if that is best served with the conversation or the questions that I have. So the best way to reach me is through my work email, which is unger.1@napls.us.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Michelle, it's a real pleasure to spend time with you. This is the second time we've spent time together, and I am reminded as a parent how fragile this brain state is for my young kids. And with your background of over 2 decades of early child learning and development, I feel like I'm ill-equipped.
Me too, at times. I try helping a high schooler. It's challenging. That's why I stay with the youngest learners. They're a lot easier.
Well, on behalf of our community in New Albany, thank you. We appreciate the love, attention you put into this. I mean, clearly this is a vocation for you, not just an occupation. And for that, thank you.
Thank you. And I think because of my staff too. They make me look good.
That is a sign of a leader. Yeah. Right there. I'm so glad that you said that. That's exactly right. And thank you to the staff who are the busybodies making it happen while you provide that additional oversight and support. You're absolutely right. Thank you for adding that.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Mark. It was nice getting to meet you virtually.
Yeah, this was great. After COVID, I look forward to stopping in, saying hello.
Yeah.
And I forgot to ask you, actually, one last thing. Looks like we have somebody who just checked in real quick. We have Andrea Icavetta. Her daughter will actually be joining your school in August. And she said, hey, nice to meet you. She also has a sophomore at the high school.
Awesome. Yes. Oh, we look forward to having you as part of our ELC family.
Good.
Yeah.
The question I forgot to ask you about is, do you ever do any animal-assisted therapy?
We don't within the school, but we do some philanthropy work. The ELC, we have a service team at the ELC, so philanthropy work is big for our staff. And we work with Dreams on Horseback out of Gahanna for some of their events. We volunteer because we do have a lot of students that actually participate in the Dreams of Horseback in Gahanna. So we have a staff member who's highly involved with that. So we work with them.
Good. What is, briefly, what is the program?
So Dreams on Horseback is a group. There's a barn right in the middle of a neighborhood in Gahanna. It's incredible, but they provide horse therapy for students, some of our students. Yeah, so they do a big fall fundraiser, and this year we had about 20 staff members that went over either during the day or in the evening for their events and helped volunteer. We served food, we helped with some of the items behind the scenes, and so we support them through some of our philanthropy work. We work with New Albany Food Pantry. Just sometimes there's certain things that come up. We do socks for veterans every fall. So we just try to make sure that we're giving back to the community that gives to us every day too. So that's a big part of the ELC staff. Yeah,
we'll definitely go ahead and link those as well in the comments below. Sean, thank you for checking in. One of our guests who is watching the show. Yes, Michelle is very passionate. It's clear, it's not manufactured, and it's contagious. It really is. You're all bright and shiny and just so happy with your job. You're very lucky. You're, you're, you're very lucky. Not, a lot of people go to work and look forward to not being at work.
Yeah. Yeah. The ELC is really a unique place too. It's probably the one place that I've worked at over my 25 years that is so supportive. The staff is always looking at ways to lift each other up. So it's an incredible place to work. So I think that I'm the fortunate one to have landed there and been able to be part of New Albany schools, but also part of the ELC and all that the staff brings. I've never been around a group of people that come to work every day filled with love and love for each other and the kids. So it's just, I can't express enough what an incredible place it is to work.
That's awesome. Yeah, it says a lot when the leader is as happy, as passionate, and has such a zeal for life. It creates inspiration. It's a fall down, that kind of fall down effect. Is that the analogy? What analogy would you use for that?
I don't know.
Yeah, the effect. Where I'm sure your staff are inspired. And then in terms, they provide that inspiration to the students. When the parents see how their students are being cared for and how they're learning and developing, it creates this kind of cycle that's self-reinforcing. And if there's anything I want this interview to do, it's to reinforce that inspiration in you and our viewers, parents. We're all very blessed to live where we live in a great school system. And Michelle, you are a big part of that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you land places because you're supposed to. And I feel like New Albany was a great fit. I love working with Healthy New Albany. It fits well within who I am. And we've done a lot of partnerships at the ELC to keep kids active. So I just feel like New Albany was the best fit with everything that the community has to offer too. So it's just been a great opportunity for me.
Great. Well, for more information, we'll provide some links below. To everyone that has joined us and commented, thank you so much for being with us. Michelle, just hang on the line for a moment. I wanted the chance to just get some information from you, okay?
For sure.
All right. And with that, I'm Mark Elias from Albany Realty. Thanks for being with us. Bye.